Good evening. Sorry about that technical challenge. I am Kenyetta McCurdy-Byrd. How are you this evening? I'll be serving as your host for part 2 of Celebrating Excellence, Black Excellence. But before we move forward and introduce our panelists for this evening, we're going to show you a short video. That video will speak to the work that we're doing in the Riverside neighborhood of Wilmington, Delaware. It would also show the impact that we've had working with and for the community. So please stay tuned and we'll be right back.
The work group, the volunteers, the supporters, the donors, the community residents are working to deal in one of the most challenging times in our country.
If we're ever going to make a real difference in how we address racial inequalities in the United States, REACH Riverside, the work around Riverside, is some of the most important in our whole country.
The organization has credibility citywide. It's got credibility among foundations and corporations and governments. We just have a strong sense that this is going to be a successful endeavor.
Children and sort of teens and young adults of color are not getting a fair shot in our county, in our city, in our state, in our country. And this is an institution where we work to make society a little more equal.
These are our children, right? These are the children that we see in our hospital. These are the children in our community. These are our children, and we must do more.
If we can make a lasting difference in Riverside, we can show that we can actually make a lasting difference in intergenerational poverty that is highly correlated with race.
We're in a pandemic. We also have faced a racial reckoning. And so to see this community, to see REACH Riverside come together and say, we're not going to just lament and feel bad about the situation. We're going to go into action. From their health to their education to the development of this area and building wealth and home ownership, it is a past, present, and future that will create a legacy for all of us.
I'm Logan Herring, CEO of the Warehouse REACH Riverside and Kingswood Community Center, what we affectionately call ourselves the Work Group. The impact of our work in 2020 has been tremendous. We distributed over $280,000 collectively to all of the families in the public housing community of Riverside. We distribute 342 Chromebooks, over 10,000 meals, providing household supplies, assisting folks get signed up for the census. Our team, our staff, our board members, our volunteers, our partners, everybody really stepped up to the call.
We had to adjust our delivery throughout the year. Certainly wanted to still have an impact even in face of COVID. So we were finding different ways to be able to continue to have an impact of our community, even though the center wasn't physically open.
It's just so amazing because there's something about empowering and uplifting a community through food. I think we're going to start a movement of people taking back their power to grow and really cultivate their bodies in a different way.
My team has gone beyond what I expected. I try to get them to focus on where we are at this moment and the things that we could do to help the children become the great people we know they can.
We are going to create a cradle to college education system to serve the kids, plus all the health and wellness facilities that are necessary to make for a robust neighborhood. Taking people out of an impoverished situation and moving them into a thriving mixed income environment, you say, I mean, that's a no-brainer.
We know concentrated poverty does not work. Historically, that is what public housing has done. What we're doing here is it's a microcosm of what we're trying to fix in the nation as a whole.
Teen Warehouse is a place of refuge for all of our children. When you have the President-elect of the United States come visit the Teen Warehouse, that matters. That tells our children that you are the most important individuals in the nation. And that's the message that we need to be sending to our babies.
My passion is to give back to them so they can have more than what I had, and they can see, wow, Miss Melody, you grew up in Southbridge, you have a master's degree, how did you do this? Because I want them to know that they can do it too.
So you name it, we did it. Virtual programming, access to healthcare, access to resources, access to basic needs. That's what we did, and that's what we're continuing to do. The mission at REACH Riverside is to eliminate the barriers of structural racism, identify what the oppression and those barriers have been over time, and systematically break them down, and at the same time build our community up. And that's what we're doing with the work group, the Warehouse REACH Riverside and Kingswood Community Center.
We are back. Wow, that was amazing. And I do this work each and every day. So I'm so excited to have 4 gifted, talented Black female community leaders that just embody greatness here as our guests. Before I get started, I want to thank TAP Network and It's Time Wilmington. And again, for those who are just joining or tuning in, I am Kenyetta. I serve as Chief Operating Officer for the Warehouse, REACH Riverside, and Kingswood Community Center, collectively known as the Work Group. Before I introduce our guest, I just want to quickly go over 2 housekeeping items. 1, participate. 2, share. We'd like you to participate by putting your comments in the section for the chat box. We know that our guests are full of knowledge and experience, but we want to hear from you, our viewing audience. So please participate. 2, share. This session or segment will be recorded, so share it on your social media platforms. So without further ado, our first panelist, Representative Sherry Dorsey-Walker. Before I continue, Representative Dorsey-Walker, may I refer to you as Sherry, because we go way back.
Absolutely.
Thank you, ma'am. I want to give respect where respect is due. Sherry and I are St. Elizabeth Vikings, and she's my sister in Christ.
That's right.
But most importantly, she's here because she serves as a co-chair for the Warehouse. And she shares that responsibility with Anaya Patterson, her colleague, 18 years of age. And while Sherry represents the 3rd District, the work that she does, the impact that it has had, has far-reaching tentacles, touching each part of Delaware and surrounding area. Sherry Dorsey-Walker. Zorah Rothwell. Zorah, before I introduce you formally, I want to share with you that over the weekend, my phone, my storage, this is TMI, so just bear with me. My storage was overflowing, and I came across some photos of us when we went to visit. We took a bus trip to visit the Door in New York City, and we went to the Wax Museum. Wow, time flies. I also saw our photos from the HBCU Gala last year. Whoa, what time does? And now we're in the midst of COVID. But it brought back fond memories, Zorah. So to our viewing and listening audience, Zorah Rothwell is a senior at Mount Pleasant High School. She is president of her class. If that's not enough, she's a founder, co-founder of the Warehouse, and she's also vice chair of the Teen Executive Committee. On top of that, if I'm not mistaken, Zorah, you were accepted to 9 colleges and universities recently. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, wow. Outstanding. If I recall, it's Delaware State University, Clark Atlanta, West Virginia State. That's outstanding. You got a really big decision to make, and we are all here to support you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Jessica Wescott is the founder and executive director of Planting to Feed Incorporated. It's a nonprofit on a mission to provide healthy meals to those who are hungry and who are suffering from homelessness. In addition, she works for a large global technology company where she manages a team of early career talent. I want to say to you, Jessica, thank you. Thank you for being the vehicle by which we're able to address food insecurities in our community. I also want to thank you and commend you for being a phenomenal partner and friend of the work group. Jessica Wescott.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And last but certainly not least is BB Ross, the boss, Coker. Now, BB, when I asked her to share her bio, she shared about 52 pages. And I'm going to date myself because if any of you remember the typewriter and you remember using really thick, heavy stationery when you had to do your resume, well, BB brought it in on canary yellow paper. So I'm not going to do this woman justice. She is a community activist. She is an active member of the work group's education committee. She has worked in various fields, from public and community relations to diversity training and social services. And many of you may not know that BB is a poet, a playwright, and a lyricist. So she knows before this segment is out, she's gonna have to bust a rhyme for us. But seriously, something that she holds near and dear to her heart is education. Her passion and advocacy for quality public education for all children is commendable. BB Ross Coker, thank you.
Thank you.
So now we know who's all in the room. And before we turn things up, I want to give you each an opportunity because, again, I did not do you justice. We just don't have enough time to give you your just dessert. So if starting with BB, if you could give about a minute, Miss BB, about a minute, each of you, give us some background, some insight into your background. Share something that you want us to know or something you'd like to expound upon that I've already mentioned. So from BB, we'll go to Jessica, followed by Zorah, and then Sherry.
Thanks, Ken. I guess I really want to thank you for the opportunity. I know that we all get kind of weary of having to explain who we are as African Americans and what excellence means and what we're doing. But because the problem never has really been given clear definition, I was so happy when Kenyetta asked me to do this because we all need to come together and continue to talk about it, continue to tell people who we are, not allow them to define us. Let them know who Black women are, Black African American women are, and I'm just glad for the opportunity again to be here.
Thank you.
So I guess it's my turn.
Yes, it is.
First, I just want to say again, just echoing Miss BB, just thank you so much for asking me to be a part of the conversation. I feel so blessed to be in partnership with REACH Riverside, Kingswood Community Center, and the Teen Warehouse. And so at Planting to Feed, I really do credit a lot of our growth and expansion to our partnership with the work group. And just thank you so much again for allowing me to contribute to this conversation. And I'm really excited to get into it.
Thank you. Zorah?
I wanted to say thank you. Being as I'm an African-American teen in Wilmington, Delaware, there's not a lot of representation for us, especially teens just in general. So I'm here to give my insight and just to motivate my other counterparts and to just be thankful for this opportunity. Thank you.
Sherry?
I'm humbled to be in the presence of such greatness. This is Black excellence at its best. Let me just say this before we get started. Kenyetta and I are both from the west side of Wilmington, and we have this expression, west side to the day we die. And we mean that. But listen, we were born and raised together, and I'm just grateful that Mother BB has been such a trailblazer down through the years, and we have been able to follow in her footsteps.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, girls, we got to turn it up. So, with that being said, what the heck does Black excellence mean? What does it mean? And why do we have to qualify it with the word Black? Is excellence not excellence? Who wants to stab at this first?
I say let the child lead. Zorah.
All right, Zorah.
Okay,
What
so
does Black excellence mean to you?
So I was thinking about this question like all night. I was like, what does it mean? What does it mean? But to me, I think Black excellence is not just a saying. I think it's just a motto, a mindset, a way of living, because when you feel that in your spirit, when you know that's who you are and what you do, you reciprocate that energy and you pass it along to others so that they can get in the mindset. And I think that it's not just excellence, it's Black excellence, because I think the word really undermines what we do and how we do it, because most times African-American women especially, we have to work 10 times harder to get in as good as positions as our counterparts. And I really think that it undermines the way that we've done it, how much hard work we put into it, because knowing that we have to work harder, it just makes it all more deserving for us. And honestly, I feel like it makes it something to be proud of, because growing up for me, I knew that being Black was okay, but I never really stood tall. I was never really proud of being Black because not everybody around me was open and as proud to be it. So hearing that coming from me, hearing from my other counterparts as the panelists, I think that it's very motivating, and Black excellence is important. Black excellence is what we are and what we stand for. So yeah.
Thank you, Zorah.
That's such a great perspective. I also thought about what is this Black excellence? And I've even posted and had conversations with friends about it. Like, why does it have to be Black? But now hearing Zorah, I'm just like, no, Black excellence is a vibe. I'm here for it now. Kind of changed my perspective completely. So I'm going to squash my answer I thought about before, because I like that, Zorah. It's a vibe.
You know what? And I agree with you guys. I really do. And I'm thinking that when you really look at the characteristics of anything, let's say anything that is excellent achievement. Excellent achievement. Okay. Excellence is inherent in the thing that is achieved. Okay. It's an overall function. Black is a so-called adjective, an adjective of color. It doesn't have anything to do with whether or not I achieve excellence. But to my way of thinking, a lot over the years culturally has been given to the adjective of Black placed on any noun, verb, or any other part of speech or any action that we do to try and distinguish it from a white action, name, verb, or whatever. But actually, excellence, inherent in excellence, is the action itself, done well. I wouldn't give a darn if you were paid. If it's excellent, it's done. It's done well.
Black excellence is what you see before you. You see a student leader in Zorah. You see a community leader in Jessica. You see the mother of the community. And what we have been taught is you go boldly to the throne. And so who we are, we're very much like Queen Esther. We are Queen Esther, because we're going to go to the king. And if we perish, we perish, but we are going straight to the throne. That's what excellence is.
All really interesting comments. I don't know if any of you took the time. Urban Dictionary says that Black excellence is a Black person who portrays great qualities and abilities that make their community proud. Any thoughts around that?
I'm sitting here beaming with pride. Go ahead, Martha.
I don't want to say that's I don't want to say that's a crop of crap, but I do want to say that's a crop of crap. Excellence is excellence, and what people have decided is that since they did not know how well we were in terms of the building and making and growing of this country, now all of a sudden it's decided that Black excellence in music, Black excellence in building, Black excellence in research. We've been doing this stuff all the time, but nobody wanted it known. So culturally, it's almost like you're trying to make this a new thing in terms of excellence, a new thing with what we do. But if this country will look at it, the way it was founded, the way it was built, the way it has grown, the way it has been sustained, our sense of excellence, our sense of belonging, our sense of doing that which is right has always been there. So I just get angry when people start deciding that, oh, this and that, operatic, that's Black excellence. No, it isn't. It's a person with skin color that looks like mine that is singing opera because that's what they want to do. Duh.
Yeah, I think that within everything that you guys have said, ultimately, that whole qualifier Black as opposed to excellent just being excellent is really tied to, as Ms. Beebe mentioned, it's our history. We are queens. We have value. And so throughout society, people have had these minimalistic expectations of us. They put us into these classifications and stereotypes. And so it's almost as if, and Zorah, you said it so well, you know, you're working 10 times harder just to prove that you have worth. And so the phrase just came out of it saying, hey, we're going to go against what you think about us because we do have value and therefore we got the qualifier. But we recognize that we don't need that. We don't need that. So would you guys say that, ladies, would you say that it is any set standard or characteristics that would illuminate Black excellence? When you walk into a room, you know, what are you looking at? Because a lot of times people are saying, okay, it's Black excellence. So it's always about accolades, achievements, academics, right? Jessica, she went to school. She has a degree in math. Like, Jessica, how do you develop that interest in math, knowing that even in this day and time, most women in general don't go into math, especially Black women?
Yeah, I think I just had really great educators and people, and there were some Black educators around me, and a really phenomenal mother who told me I could do whatever I wanted to do as long as I put my mind to it. So I think it's all about the community that's around you. And nothing that I've ever done or seen has ever been unachievable or unattainable in my mind, because I have a community that's ready to support me. And that's what Black excellence or excellence is to me. It's the characteristics of achieving your goals, whether that be in a warehouse, whether that be in education, whether that be an SVP, whatever your goals are, that's excellence, as long as you are bringing the community around you while you are rising as well.
You know,
any other thoughts around that? Yes,
that's great, Jess. I appreciate that. I'm glad to hear it. I mean, that's fantastic. The interesting part about the difference, the huge gap between our ages, of course. When I grew up, you guys, all we ever heard was, what is the word? What did they use? Make your race, be a pride or a credit to your race. That's all I heard. In the 30s, the 40s, well, it wasn't so much the 30s, but the 40s, the 50s, and the 60s, it was always be a credit to your race, be a credit to your race. And what they meant was that do whatever it is that you want to do, and do it well, and make sure that whatever it is, you give credit or give credit to your family, give credit to your teachers or whatever. And I've never had any problems with that. When I was raising my children, I told them that whatever they decided to do, I don't care what you do. If you're going to plant a garden, do it well. Because there's no point in wasting a lot of time going to college and doing all that stuff if you don't need to do something with excellence that is of service to others. You know, to me, being a credit to your race, being excellent, move outside of yourself. Move outside of yourself and serve other people. It's not about you, but it is about your bringing your best so that the you that is you can serve somebody else. And that's just not rocket science. You know, I can remember when the other two, my oldest two kids went into the medical fields. One's a nurse, one's a doctor. Julie comes along, my baby, and she did a lot of work in her teenage years in restaurants. She loved it. She loved the people, the whole 9 yards. I can't tell you guys from our community what people said. Baby, why are you going to let her go into hospitality management? Excuse me? Why not? And that's our problem. We need to look at where people are, what they want to do, allow them to do it, and stop measuring yourself by the so-called professions that you got to be a doctor, you got to be a lawyer, you got to be a teacher or whatever. You have no idea what these other areas are because, and I don't mean anything, but our white brothers and sisters have done a very good job of making you think that there are areas that are just so dumb. But that's because they don't want you in them. Carpentry, that's a crap. Plumbing, that's a crap. Stop. Electrician, that's a crap. Stop thinking that there are things in areas that are for less than when these are essential. And right now, Julie is running San Diego's tourism or whatever you call it, tourism hotel and all that kind of stuff. But you don't know about these things because our race of people have been so confined to certain areas of professions that they think make them excellent.
Ms. Beebe, you touched on a few things, and one of those earlier when I asked about a set or a standard of characteristics, because we tend, again, to look at things in terms of academia, right? Checking the box in terms of credentials. But what you said is so incredibly important. One of the many things that you said is that we cannot and we should not succumb to the pressure of the credentialing world, because it forces and it puts one course or trajectory or narrative over others, right? So if you're too rigid in your interpretation and your definition of excellence, Black excellence, then we will leave behind many members of our community. So thank you for saying that. Jessica, you spoke to about representation and role modeling. Can anyone else speak to who or what is representation of Black excellence in your life and how that's motivating you?
Kenyetta, you're sitting right in front of Black excellence. Your background is my soror, Dr. Maya Angelou. So that in and of itself is Black excellence. Zorah is sitting in front of one of our international heroes, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But Mother Beebe said something that really resonated with my spirit, and it is that we need to define ourselves, and we don't need other people doing that. And Mother Beebe, how we do that is by adding Black history to the state's curriculum, and that will be House Bill 198. And on October. On March the 31st, we shall have a hearing in the House Education Committee to add Black history to the state's curriculum. And we need everyone who's present to come and testify about the importance of our children knowing their worth. Because Kenyetta and I were taught our worth. We had 2 sets of books in our houses, the World Book and the Black History encyclopedias, and we had to do reports and everything. And that's why we're so close, because our families were comparing and contrasting the reports that we were putting together. But and you know, I'm saying it in jest, but it is the truth. And so we knew our worth early on. But what about our children in our communities who don't know their worth, who think they can look at someone who looks just like them and want to bring bodily harm to that individual because they don't see that their own worth, and they don't see love. See, when I see someone who looks like me, the first thing I want to do is love on that individual. But that's what I was taught. And that's the spiritual nature too. So we've gotten so far away from our foundation as a people that now we're allowing other people to define us. And so I bless God for the Jessicas of the world and the Zorahs of the world, because I really want to be like them when I grow up.
When Kenyetta said that what represents excellence in our lives and who it was, I have to say, and this is something that I use a lot when I'm doing the voluntary facilitating classes at the University of Delaware, when I talk about legalized racism, because y'all know racism is legalized, or a whole lot of it was and is. But the business about education, I'll tell you, I'm 85 years old. Now, I want y'all to get this in your head. My grandfather finished Howard University in 1896. If you want to see his diplomas, I got both of them. 1896 and 1898. Howard University. Okay? My mother, and we didn't have money now, so don't start thinking about, oh, this family was so well off. I don't want to even hear all that. Okay. My grandfather was sent to school by a Jewish family out of New York when, I guess, as I understand it, when they did the emancipation business. He went to New York as a young boy, and they sent him, some Jewish family, sent him to Howard University. Okay. My mother finished the University of Pittsburgh in 1926. My grandfather eventually became an Episcopalian priest and a law degree too. Okay. That was 1926. My father finished in HBCU Wilberforce in 1926, and that's how they met. My father represents the side of African Americans that went to Kansas, to the west side. Mother and represented those who went from Virginia to Pittsburgh to whatever. I'm not sure about all the history because I'm not that kind of ancestral person to do a lot of research. I just know those things. And if ever you want to see the diploma, I'll show it to you. It's about as wide as a dog on the table, but I have two of them. But this is why I know what African Americans can do. My grandfather used to tell us stuff and say words that I would have to go to a dictionary and try to figure out what he was talking about. But he had that kind of mind, Jess, and that's the kind of mind you got with math. He had that kind of mind with research and studying and all that kind of stuff. Mother was English and French, or French and English, I should say. That French major, English minor. So I know what we can do. Yeah.
Miss Beebe, I wanna ask one more question, and then I want to take some questions from our audience that are in the chat box. And that one question is for the panelists: how can non-Blacks or non-persons of color help advance the mission around Black excellence, or those striving for excellence? Is there anything they can do?
Shall we start with Jess?
Sure, Jess.
Okay. My initial answer is providing opportunities. It starts with one person making space and someone seeing the benefits from it. And I just think as long as you're providing opportunities, that's the best way forward. Short and sweet.
Zorah?
I would say for me, because I grew up in I went to Catholic school and it was predominantly white people. And I was always like, where do I go? Who should I be around? I don't feel comfortable in my skin. So I would say teach inclusion in the classroom. So not just about Black people, but just letting children know that it is okay to love on each other's differences and it is okay to be friends with others. And I would also teach them empathy and learning how to understand other people's backgrounds and just basically guiding them to this is a judge-free zone. So anything that's going out in the world, that is going on out in the world, does not affect what goes on in the classroom, and that we all are one and we do stand together.
Zorah, you said something interesting. Sherry, in high school, do we have any Black professors?
We didn't. They did hire a Black teacher. She was from Africa and she taught chemistry. And some of the people complained about her accent. Do you remember that? So by the time it was time for us to get her,
any Black faces except for you.
Well, yeah.
So
To Zora's point.
yeah, exactly. Sherry, did you want to elaborate or expound?
I think Zora covered that one. Zora and Jess did a really good job covering
She did.
that question.
And it's sowing seeds of excellence. And you talked, Sherry, about legislation and how we can advocate. You talked about, having people that look like us in there. Really what we're touching base on is, right there for you, Miss Beebe, in terms of education. Like, what does it look like in education? So I'm sorry, the voice behind the scene is supposed to keep me focused and grounded. What questions do we have from the audience?
So that's what happens when you're a living, breathing example of Black excellence. You walk in it. You walk in it.
Kenyetta, we have some questions from the audience. From Sharma Bell, thank you for being so uplifting tonight. You ladies are wonderful. How can we bring our communities together to help each other and make our future better and safer?
Great question. Thanks, Ms. Bell. It's been a while.
Let me I'll take a stab at it, and I'm not going to say what you think I might say. The only way that our future is going to be better, and the only way that we're really going to get to real change, is to eliminate racism. And the only way to eliminate racism is to define for once and for all what the real problem is, the root cause of the problem. Then you can design a comprehensive plan to correct what has been so incorrect for over 400 years. But until we define it and acknowledge it, it ain't gonna happen.
Any other responses before we go on and take another question?
I feel like the mic just got dropped.
I mean, what do you say after that other than, hi, Miss Charma?
I know, Charma. Great question.
Can we just shout her out for teaching Black children how to golf? Like, I learned from her how to golf.
It's amazing.
Our next question comes from Marina Pini. As a Caucasian VOTEC career counselor, how can I motivate and inspire young women of color?
Hi, Marina. Thank you for joining us. Who wants to go at that one first?
Why don't we have
I know I really know I shouldn't do this. Maybe a student.
Mother can't help herself.
All I can just say is that I absolutely love VOTEC. They know I was on that board for 11 years. And the one thing that I think that you do now that we must continue to do is to expose the young people that do not know about VOTEC. Go out to the homes to the 8th graders so that those going into 9th grade will know why it is important to go into VOTEC, whether they want to go to college or whether they want to go into a craft, professional or whatever. I love VOTEC. Please continue to go out and tell our children what VOTEC is all about. It's a great system.
And in the VOTEC schools, Marina, just making sure that you have peer-to-peer mentoring and bringing in bringing in adult mentors as well, because we need to see people like ourselves doing well and achieving, and just having that support system, because we don't all have that at home. And so some things we take for granted, but others just don't have it at home. And so we want to get everyone to the point. Black excellence is just recognizing that you are more than enough.
Yes.
You are more than enough. And so it's recognizing and assessing for yourself what success looks like for you. So if you can find a way through mentoring and uplift people that way, you got it, girl. Next question.
Our next question comes from Becca Cotto. When is the bill in committee again, Representative?
Ms. Cotto, thank you for being a part of the movement to add Black history to the state's curriculum and attending the meetings. It is March the 31st. And what I shall do is have my legislative aide send you the link for the meeting that will take place on Wednesday.
Thanks, Becca.
And another question from Marina Pini. Also, how do I deal with the racism towards our students when trying to find employment opportunities for them?
Oh, wow.
It looks like Jess has something to say on that one. Look at her face.
Jess. Either she had something to say or just pure frustration.
Yeah, I got to tread lightly here. I'm a hiring manager. And one of the things, that we have implemented at my company is I don't look at names. I don't look at resumes. I look at what you bring to the table. And I think it starts with that, because as soon as somebody sees a name, an address, a resume, whatever, a school even, they are making assumptions about you, and you don't even get an opportunity to get into the door. And sometimes you are the best candidate, but you don't even get a chance to even show up. So this is something I do my Oprah hands like, I'm not, I'm not for it. And this is something I can personally impact. So I try on my side, but it takes one person, and hopefully it's a ripple effect.
That was an excellent response. With a name like Kenyetta, with a name like Kenyetta, you look at it and say, oh, this is a Black woman, and then you tie it to an address. So it is really good point, Jessica, in that, having HR experience, and that's part of my background, I don't look at addresses, and I actually encourage people not to put their addresses on their resume. And if you feel like you have an ethnic name, if sometimes people abbreviate their name and they would just say K McCurdy-Byrd. Yeah. Right. So let people figure out who I am and what I look like. It's unfortunate in this day and time. That's why we're gathered here, that we're still having this discussion. It's unfortunate just to hear you say, I'm a hiring manager. I can't really speak up and say what I mean. You weren't going to say anything that was disrespectful. Nothing disrespectful, anything but uplifting your community. But we do have to tread very lightly, being Black and being women.
It's called double consciousness.
It
Absolutely.
is.
Absolutely.
And Miss Marina, thank you for being in the trenches with us.
Yeah.
Because it takes allies.
Our next question comes from Gabrielle Robertson Colley. What is Zorah planning to study? And wow, 9 colleges.
Thank you. So I'm planning to study business administration or marketing or mass communications. I haven't yet decided, but something in that field.
Can I make a suggestion? Do both seriously. If you go into marketing, go into computer, go into economics, go into whatever. I hate to say it. We got to be twice as good.
Yeah. I've had that. Somebody gave me advice that no matter what I do, I should do something with coding or anything technology.
Yes.
If I don't take it on as a major, at least get certified in it, just as a backup, or just offer me more opportunities.
Yep.
Zora, when you're ready, come talk to me. I work for a tech company.
I will. Thank you.
There you go.
Look at God.
That's what she does.
That's right.
That's what she does. Zora, what's your top choice?
My dream school since I've been in like 6th grade. I don't know why. It's been Clark Atlanta, and I was admitted to Clark Atlanta. And I'm super fortunate and blessed thanks to like my support system, the warehouse, everybody around me. So I'm hoping to go there. I just have to get a few more things worked out as far as the money, but I do plan on going there.
Cool, thank you.
Okay, that means she's not coming back to Delaware, y'all, because Atlanta is so place.
Wherever she goes and whatever she does, she will be hugely successful.
That's right.
I think Becca said, who runs the world? Girls.
And that's currently all the questions we have. There's going to be some opportunity for 1 or 2 more questions before we end up tonight.
Cool. So I do want to hear from Sherry. We talked a lot, well, you mentioned about having, doing the reports. I remember coming home and my father would say, ask me, what did you learn in school? And I tell him in history class what I learned. And he says, okay, all right, well, let me teach you about our inventors. Let me teach you about this. Growing up in the west side of Wilmington, Sherry, who were your role models?
Our parents. Our parents and the religious leaders in our community. And I would say Councilman J. Street was one of our role models.
Yeah.
And I tell you, he lived 2 blocks from us, constantly at the house, just like how we were always at each other's houses. And just hearing him and feeling him, he and his family just pouring into us. Larry Morris had the Morris Youth Center on 4th Street, if you remember. We went there as children. And those were the people, but you know, the mothers of the community, Miss Wooten, those were the people who made a difference in my life, I would say. And obviously Mother BB, that goes without saying. But we didn't have to look at television, although I did one day want to play Wonder Woman and did the whole thing on the west side. And I still have the mark to prove that the bricks just don't part. Look, there was an episode, I saw it. Didn't work out too well in that situation. So I decided to become Wonder Woman in this role as a legislator and a filmmaker. But those were our heroes, people in our community.
Absolutely.
And that's what the Zorahs of the world need to see. The people right in their own community who look like them are setting the bar high and saying, now, Zorah, you've been accepted to 9 schools. You have $1 million worth of scholarships. We're super proud of you. Now, Zorah, what your major is going to be, marketing, business administration. Now, Zorah, if you want to own a business, we need to be pouring into you and teaching you how you can own your own business.
Yes.
You know, with Jess, we have urban agriculture going on. What do you need from your legislators, to ensure that you are hugely successful in this venture? These are the things, these are the conversations that need to happen so that their heroes look like them. And they don't have to be people who they can't touch, smell, feel. They're right there in the community. I hope that answered your question.
Absolutely. So, ladies, we're coming to a close. I know it went by really quickly. Any last thoughts? Anything that you want to share around Black excellence in our conversation that you want to just lift up for our listening audience?
I think that Black excellence is inherent in the growth and development of this country. And I just would encourage all of us to encourage young people to find a way to learn about your history, know your history, define yourself for yourself. In that way, you will know who you are. And anybody coming in with some jive definition, it would be like water on a duck's back rolling off.
Thank you, Ms. BB. Any other thoughts?
I think for me, representation matters, period. When we start seeing people doing the things that we want to do in a positive manner, and we start seeing people lifting up their community, representation matters. I have this saying that as soon as I saw somebody doing what I wanted to do, my grind hit completely different. I was like, oh, it's go time. I can do that. I can achieve that. So representation definitely matters.
I would say reach out to children, grow with them, reach out to teens, and just be a mentor or just be a support, because you never know how far that can go for you. For instance, I've had a mentor since I was in 8th grade, and I love her. She's definitely guided me. She's definitely showed me the way. And having different forms of support, as far as like somebody that you can just talk to when you need that motivation, someone you can talk to when you feel like you need some extra love that day, like it really goes a long way, and it makes like the grind all more deserving and worth it once you finally get what you achieve.
Cool, thank you. Sherry?
I think Zorah summed that up really well.
Zora's been summing up a lot of
On
stuff.
fire.
She's just been, I know,
Zorah is
she is on fire. She is
Look,
truly on fire.
the
So if there
scripture
are
says
any
if a
other
child will
comments,
lead them, she's leading.
Mhm.
We're following. That's what
I
we're
know
doing.
that's right.
Yeah.
I know that's
She's
right.
leading.
Miss Kenyetta,
So,
we have a
yes,
few more questions if you
do
have
we
a
have
moment.
time for a few more questions?
Let's start with this one. This is from Mr. James Rhodes, who was one of our panelists last month. And he asks, Black women have a dual fight as it comes to equality, that of being Black and of being a woman. How can Black men help in these efforts? Be specific.
Oh.
Who wants to go with that one?
Oh. Okay,
I-
my 2 cents. Let me just put my 2 cents in, and I'm done, Sherry. Okay. I hear what you're saying, James. And when Zorah was talking, all I could think about was how important family is. Black men step up to be Black men in our children's lives. That's all I'm gonna say. As far as equality of Black women are concerned, with very little encouragement or with a lot of encouragement, we know who we are. Equality doesn't even enter my mind. I can't even spell it most days. But I do concern myself with families and Black men and women stepping up for their children and acting like parents and acting like children are important. I'm sorry. I mean it.
Any other responses? Great question, Ray. I would also say in the workplace, it's like the whole thing is when you learn, you teach, and when you get, you give.
Yes.
Maya Angelou says that. And so as a Black man, when you're in a position of power and authority, lift up your sisters, bring us in. That is one way that you can help strengthen our community and strengthen us, because it is a double-edged sword. But we carry it well because we are royalty.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
One more question? Good. Okay. All right. We need to wrap up. Thank you all so much. This has been a pleasure. Thank you for allowing me to serve as your host to TAP Network in its time. Thank you again for partnering with us on this. To our viewing audience, thank you for your time, your participation, and your support. Again, to my panelists, my queens, my heart bows to you. I just want to share with you, since we talked about Maya Angelou, that I recently read her poem to our grandmothers. And she says, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. I just want to share that with you. Come as one and share as 10,000, because we stand on the backs of those forerunners, those people that forged the path for us. We did not get here on our own accord. So please continue to support and create opportunities in space that bring us together, where we can see Black excellence, so that we can strengthen our community and learn from one another. So thank you again. It's been my honor. I'm Kenyetta. I'm Black Excellence. And I'm going to turn this over to Zorah to talk about our next event.
Okay, so similar to Decision Day, our May event will be a college commitment day where the warehouse teams will choose their college of choice. Follow It's Time Wilmington in the warehouse on Facebook for more details. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a great night.
Thank you, Zorah. So we've been asking people to share representation, videos, testimonials. So we're going to go, our outro this evening is going to be sharing of 2 videos. So thank you again for your time, and we'll see you at the next event.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Hello, I'm Sharita Jackson. I'm the author and poet of the 2-time award-winning book, Thoughts of a Butterfly. I wrote a poem called Black Excellence, and I'm going to share it with you guys. I hope you guys like it. We are descendants of our ancestors. We make them proud. They built the platform which we stand on now. We set our goals. We fulfill our dreams. We make an impact for the world to see. We break down barriers. We break down walls. If they say we couldn't do it, then we show them all. We are iconic. Don't you see? We only overcame all that was supposed to make us bleed. We are brilliant with our creativity. The notable difference is in between. It's the mindset that's important. It adheres to what is seen. I reflect Black excellence in all that I do. Black excellence is me. Black excellence is you. Be blessed.